Women's Day, and we have fantastic plans for that, which I'll announce. So we still have a few minutes. Let's give everybody a chance to join. And I hope you have read all the instructions on the site. You don't need much previous experience. However, you need a few things set up. So while we are waiting, you can check. I will post our GDG event page where there are instructions about what codelab we're going to do and what you need to get started. And then after our wonderful event, don't forget to tweet, because we have a lot of prizes today. We have Flutter swag to give away, and then we also are going to. If you've been to our events before, you know we have raffles at the end. The raffle, what we're gonna raffle this time is. The price is going to be up to you. So there is no Flutter developer certificate yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not aware of one. But if you're into mobile development, we'll be happy to sponsor your Android developer certificate if you wish, or you can choose something from the Google Store up to $150 worth. So this is so we'll have in total 8 prizes to raffle today. How to enter the raffle? Well, you will, as you also probably know, you will have to tweet. And the hashtag will be, let me post the hashtag. So here are all the instructions on what you need to get started today. I hope you have installed the Flutter SDK. If not, I'm sure Nikki will talk about that. So share anything you want. You can follow GDG _ NYC, where we have tweeted about our event. You can share your experience, what you've learned, and then we'll enter you based on your hashtag to our raffle. Flutter Festival NYC. Just use that with your screenshots, with your experiences, and then you on Twitter, and then you'll be entered into the raffle. And what else? If you want to share anything, we have the chat. I'll be happy to enable your mic and camera. We usually take a photo with everyone's cameras on at the end, but please feel free to ask anytime. Any questions? We do have Q&A. So as we go along, of course, Nikki, our goal is for everyone to be able to follow along. So please ask questions in the chat, or we do have Q&A, but we don't want anybody to drop out, so don't be shy. And then, oh, I just saw that Nikki's internet dropped. Okay, that can be good. I hope there is a backup or anything like that. So any questions? Share where you're joining from. I know our events are virtual, but I do want to take a minute to tell you about our incredible IWD International Women's Day celebrations. We are literally celebrating all month long in March and also in April. So I'll be sharing some links here how you can sign up First is our International Women's Day, New York City. Of course, it's Women's Day. However, it's open to anybody. We support everybody who wants to network, connect, gain new skills. So all men, all genders, and welcome. Of course, you have to be supportive of women. Uh, we welcome all allies, and we have fantastic agendas. Here is where to sign up for GDG NYC. This is going to be in person. We will very soon be announcing a short gathering of safe gathering of people, and then also we will be simultaneously streaming online. So it's going to be a hybrid event, and then we have GDG. All GDGs and women take makers are joining forces for our International Women's Day NYC. So this is absolutely the event to be, because we will literally be talking a lot about Web3, about NFT, and you have a chance to create your own free NFT. So you mint your NFT. It's going to be whether you want to share your quote, a photo of yours, hashtag, and then we're going to have a sale. So this is going to be a fabulous workshop where then the sales and all proceeds will help the Ukrainian Red Cross. We know we live in very, very difficult times. So this is going to be a super impactful event where you can learn and help those in need. I see Nikki is back. Welcome, Nikki. So before you drop off, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, so sorry. My internet is being unstable today. Okay, let me just share my screen.
Oh, one thing that we are recording because we want this wonderful session to be available for everyone. So nobody really is on camera or anything like that. So be aware though that this is getting recorded, and I hope Nikki doesn't mind.
I don't.
So yeah, we will have we also simulcasting on YouTube, but this is more for the purposes to have the video later. So welcome, Nikki. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Yeah, so thank you for the introduction. Today we're just going to go over how to build your first Flutter app. So Google's UI tool for building beautiful native compiled applications for mobile, web, and desktop from a single code base using the Dart language, and it's free and open source. So the app we're going to build today is just a simple startup name generator, just compiling two words together. That's going to be in part one, and this is an infinitely scrolling list. So anytime we get close to the bottom, it's going to generate 10 new ones, so forever. And then in part two, we're going to add some interactivity here to be able to save. Say we like the name Clean Wealth, save it here, and then we can route to this page to see all of our save suggestions and navigate back as well. So some things we're going to learn today is a basic structure of a Flutter app, how to create one, and how to actually implement this here. Finding and using open source packages to extend functionality, using hot reload for quicker development cycle, which is one thing I love about Flutter. How to implement a stateful widget, and how to create this infinitely lazily loaded list. So if you haven't already on the event page, this is the code that we're going to go through, part 1 and 2. Hopefully if we have time, we'll finish both. And then a prereq was to have the Flutter SDK installed. If you don't have that installed today, that's fine. You can just watch me code along. But if you do, just code along with me. So let's get started here. So with the Flutter SDK installed, you want to go to whatever directory you want your project to be in. And what's great about Flutter is you can create the boilerplate code with just a simple command. So we're going to use Flutter create and then the name of whatever you want your directory to be. So for the purpose of this codelab, we're going to name it Startup Namer, and then press enter. And what this is going to do is generate all the files you need to run a target on iOS, Android, and web. So for the purpose of this codelab, I'm going to be using Android Studio, and you can use Visual Studio or any other IDE that you are comfortable with. And we're just going to open that project up. Bring it on here so you guys can see. I'm going to open the project here. And you see this code in the main.dart. We're actually going to replace all of this with the codelab's simplified version, just so you don't have all these comments and so many things to focus on right now. So we're going to save, and we're actually going to press play here, and I'm going to run it on the iOS simulator. It sometimes can take a while the first time, but don't worry, it's not going to be this long of a time every time we have to make a change. Just go over the basic structure of what the Flutter Create generated. So you have your Android folder, your iOS folder, and your web folders. What these are just the basic target files you need to build to these specific platforms. But for the purpose of this codelab, we're going to focus in main.dart. And this lib folder is where all of your Dart code is going to live. And you really only need to focus on this lib file, since Flutter does all the nice things of building your other targets for you. To go over the structure of what this basically does is Flutter comes main method, and it runs run app, and it runs whatever widget is inside here. What's great about Flutter is everything UI is a widget. It's widgets composed of other widgets. Even things like the center is a widget, which is great to conceptualize on how you want to build your UI out. The material app is actually just the home of the app itself. The scaffolding holds our app bar, which is this here. You see what it was done building. So this here with our title, Welcome to Flutter, and this text that's centered both horizontally and vertically saying Hello World. I mentioned earlier that Flutter has this great thing called hot reload, which if you make a change, that's some exclamation points, press save, it's going to automatically reload the app and implement those changes there. So it's really great to implement on your UI and make changes on the go. So with this running, we can see that we have our hello world here. And then we're going to move on to, if you're following the codelab, we're going to move step 4, which is installing an internal package. So what internal packages are just open source repositories from the Flutter and Dart team at Google, and also anyone can create their own open source package for any type of functionality you want to add to your app. For the purpose of this codelab, we're going to search for the English words package. You can see it's right here. And this will just tell you basic usage of the package itself. You can see the GitHub repository since they are open source, any changes the developer has made, an example of how to use it. And for us, we're going to be looking at the installing. So when you find a package that you would like to use, look for the Flutter pub add, and then the name of the package. So what we're going to do is just copy this, copy to our clipboard, and go back to our terminal. We want to cd into the startup project we just named. And then we're just going to paste that command in and press enter. What that's going to do is download the package into our project so we have access to its functionalities. And if we go back to the code in our pubspec.yaml, anything you add to your app and download, it'll be in this file. And you'll see English words added here. You also, if you go back to the installing, you can just add this command itself into your postspec.yaml instead of using the commands, but I like using the commands. This is just a lot simpler to use, and it gives you the latest version. Still on this page, we want to copy our import, go back to our code in our main.dart, and then paste it at the top so we can actually use it. So moving on to the, before I move on, do any of you guys have any questions? Okay, okay, let's keep going. Awesome. So let's start actually generating some startup names. So here we're going to create a new variable called word pair, which is just going to be a random word pair from the package we just installed. And then we're going to replace the text here with the word pair as Pascal case, which is just going to have the two names as both uppercase, the first letters. So again, if we press save, it's going to give us a nice name. If we press save again, we're going to get another one. If we press save again, we're going to get another one. That's because anytime we reload the application, it's going to rerun these builds. And since we have our word pair inside the build, it's going to generate a new random word every single time. So you can see here that this is a stateless widget. What stateless widgets are is that their properties are immutable. They cannot change during the life cycle of the widget. But sometimes you want to create a widget where you want the elements to change, the properties to change, and that's when you would use a stateful widget. We're going to create a stateful widget to hold our growing list of generated words. And what I like about Android Studio and Visual Studio, they both have this little shortcut command. If you just type STFUL and press enter, you get the snippet of what both classes are required to create a stateful widget. And all we just need to do here is name it. And we're just going to call this random words. This is going to be our list of immutable words. So here, we're just going to basically re-implement what we did up here just to make things a little cleaner. So word pair. And then replace this container, empty container here with our text. And with stateful widgets, you see this underscore here. The underscore is Dart's like private. It makes the whatever class, property, enum, whatever it is, private to that scope. So this random state is private to this file itself. And if this was in like another file, my app wouldn't be able to have access to it. So we want to be using the actual stateful widget instead of the state when we want to use it in another widget. So here we're just going to replace it, the text that we did earlier, with our random words widget. Press save. We get no errors, but we get newly generated words. So that is, it's not breaking anything, it's where we would want it to be. So I'm going to stop here again for questions. Oh, there's a little bit of noise from my speakers. Let me... why those word pairs? What do you mean, like why just randomly generated words? It's just, it's the top like 1,000. Let's see if we go to the package itself. Package containing the most 5,000 commonly used English words. So it's just taking two of them and putting it together just to randomize it. I think, 1 second, maybe because I have a window slightly open. I'm just going to close it really quick. Awesome. So let's we're going to move on to actually implementing our cool infinitely scrolling list. So staying inside of this state class here, when you have a stateful widget, you want majority of the logic to live in your state class itself instead of your stateful widget. You would only put properties in your stateful widget itself if you need to pass in properties, say here, into the state itself. So for this, we're going to create another private variable that's just going to hold the list of our generated word pairs. And this for, we're going to create another variable to just make the text a little bit bigger, just a text style with a font size of 18. We're going to be using that a little bit later once we actually get the list going. So to build our list, we want to use a list builder, and what a list builder does, it lazily generates each, adds to the list as we go instead of just that need. So we're going to create another function called build suggestions, which is going to return a widget. And since everything is a widget, we can just use this builder. And we have the item builder here.
Nikki, sorry
Yes.
to interrupt just real quick. There is a bit of cracking coming from your speaker, so I'm not sure if that's something we can address, but it would be better quality if we can fix that.
I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Maybe your mic or if it's too close. I'm not sure, but there is a bit of a cracking sound that people hear as well. I thought it was just me, but other people said the same.
Is it going on right now? You can hear it now?
Yes. It's not too bad. I just thought maybe if you can, I don't know. Is your mic nearby or?
I'm just using my computer mic, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
It happens as I'm typing.
Oh, when you're typing. Oh, that's weird. That's weird.
Is it happening now? Like it's a constant right now as I'm not typing?
I hear it when you speak, actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's not the end of the world. If we don't know, we can continue.
Yeah, it may be because of how much I'm running just Android Studio, a simulator.
Yeah, we're okay. I guess people are okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry about that, guys.
All right.
Yeah, so inside of our item builder, there is a context parameter and an index I. What I does is it holds the index of the actual row in the list. And what we're going to use that for is to create our list tile itself with the word, and then also create dividers so it looks like a nice list. So first let's check if this I is odd. If it is, we're going to return our divider. Again, widgets are fantastic in Flutter because divider's already defined, and we can just put it there and it gives us a nice line that you'll see once we get things running again. So now we're just going to create another variable, and I'm just going to type this out and explain it. What this does is gets the math of the actual index of whatever word we are in the list, since we are doing this is odd check. And then if the index we're at is greater than or equal to the number of suggestions we actually have loaded, we want to add more to the list. So that's just suggestions.add all. And the package has a nice function to generate word pairs. And then we're just going to take 10 of those and add those all to the list. To actually create the rows itself, we are going to return a list tile with the title, which is another widget, and it's just going to be the text like we had earlier. This time we're going to grab it from our suggestions at that index, and then as Pascal case. And we're going to use this bigger font here as a style. I am not inside the text. Oh, that happens. There we go. And when we hit save, nothing happens because we are not using this actual function itself. So we're just going to delete this word pair and return our build suggestions. Now when we click save, we have this nice loaded list. What's nice about the style here, creating it as a variable, say we want to make it huge, click save. If it wants to. Sometimes you just need to restart. There we go. Now we have it really big. So that actually end of part 1 of the code lab. So I'm going to pause again for any questions. Okay, awesome. So now we get into the interesting part of adding some interactivity into the app, creating those save hearts and icons. So what we're going to do is add another variable up here called saved, and it's also going to be a list of word pairs. And then we are going to add a variable inside of here called already saved. Which is going to check if our saved or list contains this word here. To add the icon, we're going to add a trailing element to our list view here, and I'm actually just going to copy and paste it here. And then I'll explain. So what this does is just adds trailing on this list view an icon, and if it is saved, it is going to be the filled in heart, which you can see a preview here. If not, it's just going to be the heart with the border, and then it also changes the color as well. But now we see that it doesn't work quite yet because we are actually not changing this value. To save that, to change the value, we need to add another bit of logic onto the list tile, which is on tap. So I'm going to just to make it simpler, we're going to rename this pair and just pull that out so that it works there as well. So what this does, this is called set state. Since this is a state widget, we have the ability to modify whatever properties we define inside of this state, and that's what makes it work. So set state will rerun this build that we have here and update the UI as it needs. We should have the functionality of it being able to toggle and us seeing those changes immediately. You might be able to see like a little coloration when you tap on it. That's just like Flutter's like inkwell widget working behind the list tiles on tap. All right, I'm going to pause there before we start navigating to a new screen just to see if there's any questions. If I'm going too fast for anybody or someone wants me to explain something deeper, I can do that. Oh, really good. Do you know of a tutorial that starts before this where it helps you get this stuff installed, all this? Oh, if you go to the event page, click on the codelab, and if you go into step 2 to set up your Flutter environment, it takes you to how to install the Flutter SDK in an editor of your choice. Awesome. So let's actually implement that screen from the app bar here. So if we go up to our app bar, let's see. Before we do that, let's clean up our code a little bit so we have access to our saved variable here. And how we do that is we can extract this scaffold into our build and have it just return the scaffolding here. And then the body, instead of this center widget, is just going to be that build suggestions. And then we can go back up to home and remove all that. And our home is just now going to be this screen here with our random words. If we click save, nothing breaks, just our list will reload every time that screenshot it. Awesome. So now we can add a new action onto our app bar here with just the actions array inside of our app bar. Just a little cleanup. Sometimes copy and pasting from codelabs will do that. And then just to satisfy the compiler here, so it will stop complaining, we're just going to implement, write out that push saved function. And then click save here. And now we have our button here, but it doesn't do anything yet because we haven't actually implemented push saved, which we're going to do right now. Again, this is a bit of code, so I'm just going to paste it in from the codelab and then explain what's happening. So what this is going to do when this button is pressed is it's going to push a new route onto the stack. Routes in Flutter are just screens. So it's going to build this new screen, which is also a scaffold with an app bar, and it's going to generate another list view. And what this divided is just the list of our saved word pairs with dividing lines in between it. So if we click save and we let's say we like tail boot and porch force, click this button, then we have our new route generated. What's nice about using this navigator.push is that we automatically get the navigator.pop with this back button. And since we use state, and since it's in the same navigator stack, the state will maintain itself, so we can navigate back and forth, and that state will keep. Awesome. So there's only one more part, but I just want to, again, pause and ask if there's any questions. Yeah, this tutorial is just a brief overview of what Flutter can do in implementing a simple app. Honestly, it's best to just play around with Flutter, add different widgets and see what they do to really get a hands-on experience of how everything really works and what kind of UIs you can build. Yeah, so the last part here is really just adding theming to our app itself. Theming is great because you can define what you want your app colors to be in the main part of your material app here, and it's going to reflect across your entire application. So it really how you want your app to look and feel from one central location. So we're going to just add a quick theme into our material app here. And it's just going to create a theme for our app bar with a background color white and our text being black, as you can see here. And this is as simple as changing it, say purple. It's going to change our text to purple and our background, say, to black. Yeah, so that is how you build a simple Flutter app. Any questions? Does Flutter Dart offer code scanning tools, static scanning, vulnerability scanning? I'm not sure. They may. I don't know what you mean by scanning. Could you, sorry, expand what you mean by that? Like sonar scan. There may be a, if you want to look in pubspec.dev, there may be somebody, whether the Flutter team or an open source person may have created one for you. I know there's a couple of packages to do like Bluetooth scanning and things of that nature. So check pubspec.dev. That site's really going to be like one of your best friends for building Flutter applications because it really expands what you can do with Flutter. Any other questions? Oh, catching bugs. What big companies utilize Flutter? I know a couple have experimented with using Flutter. If you've ever heard of ClickUp, their mobile app is completely using Flutter. A few of Google's internal apps are utilizing Flutter. That's where I got my first experience with it. I know a lot of startups as well are using it, of course, for being able to churn out multiple platforms using one code base. You're welcome. Nothing else. If nobody wants to see anything else, that would be it for me. If you have any questions, I'm available on most social medias. My name, Damonique. Can you show the iOS side? You mean like the iOS code itself? So with Flutter, it generates the iOS code on the back end. What the iOS folder really has is like the Xcode project and the assets and things like that, app delegate, scene delegate, things like that nature. You can open the Xcode project in Xcode, but you won't see like the translated version of what widgets are in codes necessarily. That's all compiled. Anything you need in Xcode. The only reason you really need Xcode is if you want to run on a physical device, but Android Studio and Visual Studios have gotten better with detecting actual devices as well. You will need Xcode to actually deploy iOS apps using Flutter, unless you use something like Fast, which like automatically generates the provisioning profiles you need. No, actually, I'm running the iOS simulator from Android Studio. You can do the same with Visual Studio. Flutter developer internships. I don't know any off the top of my head, but I know a lot of startups are starting to use Flutter. So a good place to look would be like AngelList. LinkedIn may have a few, but more startups and smaller companies would have Flutter opportunities for full-time and internships. You're welcome. Atomic Robot. Fantastic company. Sorry, Barry. Yes, you do need Xcode installed on your computer to actually have access to the simulators. Yes. But you can still deploy iOS apps if you only have a Windows. If you use something like Fastlane, which just automates your app development process. And it's as simple as setting it up and running a single command, and it will deploy it to like TestFlight or the App Store. Yeah, so if that is it, I will pass it back. Thank you guys so much for having me. I can be reached on social media, Damonique_dev, if you have any questions. But yeah, thanks so much.
This was awesome, Nikki. You are a fabulous instructor. Hope you can come back later this year. We do a lot of Android study jams, and of course, this is not the end of Flutter. As part of the Flutter Festival, which is going on in March and April, all the Flutter codelabs are free until the end of May. So you're welcome to continue your exploration and to continue building on this wonderful foundation today. So let's give everyone a chance to tweet and thank Nikki and follow her on Twitter. Please use the hashtag Flutter Festival NYC and Let me check. At Damonique is Nikki's Twitter handle. I'm sure you will be happy to follow her as well. So yes, everybody is very absolutely wonderful presentation. Such a pleasure to have you, Nikki. Has everybody had a chance to tweet yet? Oh, and let's enable everyone camera if we'd like to say something live, take a photo. For now, we are all in the little video squares, but like I said, we are planning a few live events, in-person events, as well as virtual events. So hopefully we'll be able to meet up soon. So you're able to turn on your, I'm still enabling everyone, but you are absolutely welcome to turn on your mic as well. Thank you, guys. Fantastic. So I can share my screen. And at this point, I believe we can stop recording.